Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of your favorite twice a day show on the internet pertaining to the Buffalo Bills, the NFL, and all things in between. I am your host, Dan Mitchell. And we ended up getting our first released Buffalo Bills unofficial depth chart. And we are going to react to it. It was just dropped by the organization about an hour or so ago, where I think we're starting to get some answers. I do kind of want to throw this out there to curb people's expectations. These are not made by the coaches. I actually was just informed of this on Fourth and Forever just about an hour ago. It's the media teams who ultimately end up putting together this unofficial depth chart. So it's largely just educated guesses. So I know that sucks all of the fun out of it from the very beginning. However, we still need to take a look because there are some surprises, my friends, right? Like we're getting an update on the QB2 battle. We are getting a good understanding of who is on the depth chart in the defensive line, who is first string, second string, third string, who the backup kicker is. Spoiler alert, it is Ray Davis, which is hysterical. So we are going to be unpacking that on today's episode. I'm so excited to lock in with each and every single one of you. As always, guys, I ask if you enjoy these twice a day streams, just do me a favor and hit that thumbs up sign directly below this live stream. My goal is to make sure that we can recruit one of the largest live chat audiences in all of the Bills community. My accomplishments are your accomplishments. So let's everybody pull their weight and hit that thumbs up sign as we lock in. As many of you know, I am nosy and I want to understand where all of you are located. So as always, roll call in the chat. That is now live. Where are you tuning in from? What corner of the continental U.S. are you watching from? Or what corner of the globe are you tuning in from? Always curious to see where Bills Mafia is. I need to give a giant shout out to today's proud partner that just so happens to be hurt in a car. You better call William Matar. William Matar Law Offices, man. I am talking the #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. It is an ugly truth out there. Sometimes you will find yourself on a receiving end of a terrible car accident. If that is the case, man, make sure you have his phone number memorized. 444-4444. Shout out to my boy William for showing a little bit of love. Here it is, folks. The Buffalo Bills in full unofficial depth chart. Let's unpack this ad nauseum. Let's get into this real fast. All right, guys, what is the roll call looking like? I see a lot of my morning people in here. As always, folks, I am live twice a day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. EST and also at 4 p.m. EST, breaking down all of the news. So say, for example, that you haven't already, I just highly recommend you turn on bell notifications so you are informed in case there is ever a sporadic stream that comes into it. We have Altoona, Iowa is in the building. Midnight is in the building. Arizona, Lancaster, South Buffalo. Chill, New York, Rochester, New York is in the building. New York, Northern Virginia. Talk to me on this one. Don't you sound like a politician? My God, Louisiana's in the building. Tampa, 716. I want to have XP. Bryant, man, dude, he is looking for that XP, that #1. West Virginia is in the building. Kentucky is in the building. Mount Vernon, Ohio, in the building. Surprise, Arizona. I love the name of that town. You have no idea. Lackawanna, New York is in the building. Forestville, New York. Smash that like button on your way in, man. We have New York. We have Miami, Florida. Go Bills from Kansas. We have Surprise, Arizona. We have Pittsburgh in the building. What is up, Beth? Beth is in the chat. Where has my friend Beth been? I heard that you were going through with a move. I hope it all went well for you. I hope that you are not drowning in boxes. And I really hope that you didn't have to go through what I did this past weekend by putting together a bunch of IKEA furniture, which I would not wish on my worst enemy. I hate that experience more than you know. It looks like you and Bob agreed to a new contract. Myself and Bob, we have indeed. We have agreed on a 3-year, multi-year deal where he gets these hands 50% more of the time. All right. So he's going to be getting slapped all season long. We have agreed on the contract. He is there. I love Dan Michelle, one of his OGs. Shout out to Bills Muse in the chat, man. Great Twitter account over there. Shout out to my guy. Greece, New York is in the building. All right. Beautiful. All right, guys. Let's chop it up. Let's talk a little business. What about this damn depth chart? What is standing out to us the most? All right. I hope that you guys can read this. I know that the font is relatively small, but I want to start off with the wide receiver room here. And one of the biggest debated topics all across Bills Mafia had to be who is going to be the sixth wide receiver on this team. We all have assumed that this wide receiver is largely going to be the number one contributor on special teams, because Buffalo has typically ran with a range of 5 to 7 wide receivers, 7 being in 2021, I want to say. Maybe it was earlier. But I think 6 is probably a safe bet once the final 53-man roster is all said and done. But look at who would make the roster if this depth chart was actually coming to fruition. Our boy Terrell Shavers. How about Terrell Shavers, ladies and gentlemen? Last practice yesterday, as a matter of fact, he was taking full advantage of the reps that he inherited based off of all the guys that are sidelined with an injury. Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, you name it. And I got to give it to him, man. All of you Terrell Shavers believers, I think you might be in a happy place, because as of now, he is currently leading as the 6th wide receiver based off of this depth chart. Now, the only way that I could see this changing is, of course, if Laviska Shenault starts running away with the kick return competition. And as much as we would love to be able to draw conclusions from that specific camp battle, we're not going to see the needle moved in one way or the other, or one direction or the other, until we start getting actually live team reps. So I think we're going to start getting a good assessment of who is leading that conversation on Saturday when we play the Giants, when we actually run out Codrington, when we run out Chenault, when we run out KJ Hamler. Whoever wins that kick return battle is going to have a ripple effect with this roster moving forward. So keep that in mind. But right now, Terrell Shavers, he is the dude as that 6th wide receiver, which I find to be pretty intriguing. Next up, one of the biggest things that I noticed was that the QB2 battle still seems to be slightly leaning toward Mitchell Trubisky. Now, we've discussed a potential out on Mitchell Trubisky. He has a significant cap hit this year, at least compared to Mike White. And that would be a way for Buffalo to theoretically save some money and add some additional cap. But we're going to need Mike White to really perform during the preseason in order for Buffalo to feel comfortable enough to give that nod. So Mitch Trubisky, still QB2 where it stands. I'm curious to see who gets the nod as the starter for the first game of the preseason. It's probably going to be Mitch, but what does Mike White have to say about all of that? That was the second thing that really sort of turned out. As far as the running back room, you have James Cook, you have Ray Davis, you have Ty Johnson. No one's shocked there. Of course, you have Reggie Gilliam, who is a lock for this roster. I don't think anyone's surprised there. We are a fullback kind of team. And that realistically locks down so with the offense. Maybe the tight end room, say that some of you are being sticklers on who's going to be tight end 3. Some of us have been Zach Davidson fans for a while, but it appears that Jackson Hawes, at least perceivably, is winning that competition, is solidifying himself as that tight end 3. So there you go. Have Jackson Hawes, Dawson Knox, and Dalton Kincaid as starters from the tight end side of things. Let's talk about this. How do you read this? Is it the first 2 columns for the most part? It just depends on Miss Daisy. And by the way, I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's typically the first 2 columns are almost roster locks for 53. And then when you end up looking at running back, like that's typically 3 that Buffalo ends up keeping on. As far as the offensive line, you're typically only seeing the first 2 columns, maybe 1 or 2 names after that. It just depends on what your theory is on how many positions Buffalo is keeping. So that's on the offensive side of the football. Run it back is coming in. I think they go with Mike White. Bills need to start saving money. We would add about $2 million to the cap because Mike White's cap hit is about $1 million or $2 million less than what Mitchell Trubisky would be calling for. So it is a real competition that we need to pay attention to. No matter how you feel about Mitchell Trubisky or Michael White, it's funny, I gave him his government name right there. Regardless of how you feel about either of them, some people might say, oh, no, I don't trust Mike White. We have to keep Mitchell Trubisky. I highly doubt that there's realistically anybody in this chat that has that take. But rest be assured, if, for example, QB1 were to go down, we are royally screwed. And that's not something that is exclusive to the Buffalo Bills either, folks. Like, that's the case for, I would say, 29 of the 32 NFL teams. So whoever wins the QB2 position, I don't see it moving the needle on how I look at this team because we're screwed either way. So my take will continue to be, as long as Mike White is not significantly worse than Mitchell Trubisky, send him off. Save the money. Like right now, where we stand with Mitchell Trubisky, he is a pretty significant cap hit, and Buffalo needs to squeeze and rub some pennies together to make something happen. Let's move on to the defense, baby. All right. What has stood out to us from the defensive line? What's interesting to me is, say that Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyts were not suspended for the first 6 weeks, then they would be second in the rotation. That appears to be the plan for them in the first place. But unfortunately, they both ended up taking PEDs, and they are out for the first 6 weeks of the season. So you can see Deion Walker stepping in. And then finally, you have Dwayne Carter as well, who is likely going to be a lock. Same thing with Javon Solomon. He is a third string currently for the right edge rusher. Watch out for him. And don't be surprised if AJ Epinesa gets shipped off prior to the season. That is still a take that I'm relatively curious about. So we have Matt Milano. We have Terrell Bernard. Remember, the Buffalo Bills typically only run two linebackers in their one scheme. So Dorian Williams, who is currently hurt, he's technically the third linebacker if and when we run 4-3, which is rare. And we see Joe Andreessen directly the second string middle linebacker. So a lot of us rooting for Joe, as we did last year. He looks like he is also a lock for said team. Spector is interesting. Spector may be done. Like, dude ended up having 4 calf strains in, I think, less than half a year. So I don't know if Balin Spector is going to make this team, and to be completely honest with you. Shaq Thompson, I do think that he'll be a lock as well. His veteran presence is super valuable for this squad. So we could see that. So that right there is a massive takeaway with Andreessen looking to be second in the depth chart. What's really intriguing to me is I hate that TJ Sanders is second string to Daquan Jones. Again, we don't have a true one tech on this roster, right? With the exception of Daquan Jones and Deion Walker, who is not ready. Again, this is made by the media team. This is not made by the coaches. But using TJ Sanders as a one tech defensive tackle is not utilizing him to his largest strength, and that is running to the quarterback. So if you were to ask me who should directly be behind Ed Oliver, it should be TJ Sanders. And with Larry Ogunjobi, he should be the one that's directly behind Daquan Jones. That would be my take. But of course, I'm just like being super picky about said roster itself. Next up, you have Tre'Davious White winning the CB2 battle. I think that's not a surprise to anybody, especially since Maxwell Harrison is out likely up until week 1. But I think we can all be honest with ourselves based off of the reports we were hearing from Maxwell Harrison and Tre'Davious White. I think Trey White would have won the position in general. Like, dude's been balling. Followed by Christian Benford as our second cornerback. Highly slept on. I can't tell you how many times I see cornerback rankings on X where Christian Benford is wildly disrespected. I saw a top 15 list, and they had the audacity to put Christian Benford at 13. Give me a damn break. Give me a break. Followed by that, of course, you have Taron Johnson. Jordan Hancock being directly behind him. Very interesting, because it's going to be between him and Cam Lewis, who are the gadget guys of the defense, who can play slot corner, who can play safety. And notice how Cam Lewis is listed as a backup safety behind Taylor Rapp. Speaking of safety, you have Taylor Rapp, you have Cole Bishop as the starting safeties. So say, for example, that you guys are the DeMar Hamlin haters and you want him nowhere near this roster. I think your wish has come true, at least early on into training camp or early on into the preseason. So that's exactly where they see that going. And I mean, last but not least, we have Ray Davis. How about Ray Davis, backup kicker for the Buffalo Bills? Who were to know? I had no idea that Ray Davis had any experience in that game, but I did post a TikTok earlier, so reacting to this overall depth chart. Somebody commented and said, I was his backup kicker in high school. I'm not particularly sure if that was true. However, interesting nonetheless. All right. So that is the depth chart, guys. I do want to remind everybody that I have a portion of my show called the Garage Beer Hotline. I love being able to offer you guys an opportunity to call in with anything on your mind, whether or not it's a statement right about the depth chart that we are currently looking at, or whether or not it's about the James Cook situation, whatever you would like. I am opening up the Garage Beer Hotline for anybody that would like to call in, tap in with your boy, and see what is going on. 373 of you are in here rocking with me right now. 163 of you are on YouTube. 174 of you are on X. 36 are on Facebook. All I ask, folks, say, for example, that you enjoy this show and you like tapping in with me twice a day. All I ask is that y'all just end up hitting that thumbs up sign for me so we can continue to grow our community. The more personalities we have in this chat, the better of a time we are going to have in the 2025 season. I can promise you that. We have McMatty is in the building saying the depth is absolutely insane. And about time, McMatty. About damn time that we can rest easy at night, knowing that if one of our starters were to go down, there's not as much of a significant drop-off virtually anywhere. I would say, so the only group that concerns me from a depth perspective, maybe linebacker, maybe safety, but for the most part, like where you need to be, quality depth, I mean, we've addressed it. And that's just how it is. Shout out to my boy Arjun coming on in. Welcome to the Garage Beer Hotline. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm living the dream. What's on your mind?
I just want to know what you think about Keon Coleman, like training camp wise. I remember I asked yesterday, but like I just want to know, like, do you think he's going to be ready for week one? Is he going to be a wide receiver one? What do you know?
So I don't think that Keon Coleman was ever drafted to be a wide receiver number one. How I look at Keon Coleman is that normally you end up drafting players based off of your biggest weakness the season beforehand. And the biggest weakness for the Buffalo Bills 2 years ago was drop passes and no wide receiver on the team that was able to come down with contested catches and win with physicality. So rather than us drafting him to be a Stephon Diggs replacement, I think that we drafted him to be a Gabe Davis replacement all along. And it just kind of came into an awkward time where people were just like, oh, yeah, like we're without Diggs now. So it's obvious that Keon's going to step up right within this role. And that's not a bad thing, right? Last year, I was impressed with his rookie season. Yes, he struggled a bit when he came off of the injury, but the one wide receiver in which that he is compared to almost ad nauseum is Xavier Worthy. And when you look at their advanced statistics and you consider the fact that Xavier Worthy played 4 more games than him and had nearly double his overall targets, him and Xavier Worthy were very, very close as far as statistical production. So based off of what I have seen from him, He's not going to be the kind of wide receiver that's going to automatically see a massive jump rate in his 40-yard dash. He's not going to be a guy that's just going to have an elite route tree right after just one off season. But what I've seen in camp is that he's winning by utilizing his strengths, by making sure that he wins physically, by going up and getting those contested catches. I hope, as far as my expectations for him, I'm not looking for a 1,200-yard season. I'm not looking for him to like be right within the conversation of like top 5 best wide receivers. But what I am looking for from him is him finally being a red zone target and him continuing to leverage that yards after the catch capability. Like, he's just an interesting piece on this offense that needs to be utilized appropriately. And now that he's going into year 2, I hope that Joe Brady has more trust in him.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. My guy, Arjun, coming on in, showing a little bit of love on the first caller of the Garage Beer Hotline. Folks, I got to tell you, say, for example, that you haven't tried Garage Beer, and of course that you are old enough to consume. It's beer tasting beer, man. Go make sure and so you check it out and let me know your thoughts, because without Garage Beer, we would not be able to have this awesome little hotline in which that I provide to each and every single one of you on each and every single stream. William has come in. John Robert, how long is he out for? I haven't heard anything since he went down in practice. I'm not sure what player that we were discussing in the live chat here, but say that it was Khalil Shakir. Shakir has a high ankle sprain, and they're saying that he could be out 4 to 6 weeks. So that could potentially be something to look at. Shout out to Scott, by the way, who ended up coming in with a $10 donation super chat. Scott, you are the man. Dan, do you think Cook will be willing to take between 12 to 13 million for like a 3-year contract, kind of like what the Rams running back did to stay in Buffalo? Scott, I got to tell you what, because that's a great segue, and I feel like we do need to have this conversation. All right? Let me go ahead and pull up a visual for each and every single one of you so I can get my point across here. So, when it comes into comparisons of James Cook and Kieran Williams, they are largely identical from a statistical standpoint, with the one exception, of course, being their utilization, how these two respective teams use these running backs. With Kieran Williams, he is indeed a workhorse running back. For the past 2 seasons, he has been out there for nearly 85% of all offensive snaps, and he was able to put together 4.5 yards per carry, 2,582 rush yards, 464 receiving yards, 31 total touchdowns the past 2 years combined. But then you have to compare James Cook, right? Has 4.9 yards per carry. And whether or not that you want to say, well, of course he's better in those metrics because he's had far less snaps. But bear with me. 2,638 rush yards, 883 receiving yards, and 27 total touchdowns. So this tells me 2 things. Number one, you can look at it from, hey, it's clear that James Cook is a more explosive back. Because look, his production right in front of you is nearly identical to Kieran Williams, meaning that James Cook should get more money. But then another school of thought is, well, Williams is asked to be out on the field 85% of the time to be a true workhorse back. But with James Cook, he's averaging about 45 to 50% of the snaps. And that's no fault of his own. That's not due to his incapability of being a third down back. It's just that's exactly how Joe Brady utilizes him. So if you were in that camp, then you would assume, hey, Dan, he doesn't deserve as much as Kieran Williams. And I got to tell you, with Kieran Williams, and I'll go ahead and I'll pull up my tweet a little from earlier, 3 years, $33 million in average annual value, $23 million guaranteed. As far as $23 million guaranteed, that is now the 5th highest in all active running backs in guaranteed money. And the AAV is nowhere near 15, right? Like we are looking at $11 million average annual value. But again, $23 million guaranteed. This is what I think that James Cook would take, especially since this announcement has not helped him whatsoever in getting anywhere closer to the number that he's looking for. In fact, due to this news that broke with Kieran, I now think that this contract is going to get done a hell of a lot sooner than we thought. For me, I'm fine with it. We give him 3 years, $35 million, $25 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed, excuse me, and a potential out after the second year. It's nowhere near Saquon Barkley money because Saquon's pulling in about $36 million fully guaranteed. He's averaging about 20. So since this Kieran Williams deal is now public, I have a funny feeling that once the James Cook deal gets announced, if it is, of course, announced, it's going to look something like this, something wildly familiar to what we just saw from the LA Rams. So I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on this. I'm curious to hear everybody else's thoughts on whether or not that James or Jimbo will get his deal done, whether or not that it's similar to Kieran, but that's the update, ladies and gents. 6 Rings is in the building. Patriots fan. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I went to the gym today with my Brady jersey on to play basketball. And my shots were just falling.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, pull-up mid-ranges, 3-pointers.
Dude, out there
Turned
making
into like
it rain.
Tom Brady of the shooter today.
Dude, making it rain out at the rec basketball court. I appreciate that,
but
man.
I called for 2 things. First thing is justice for your running back. It's tough for you. I don't know what his contract is. It's about $4 or $5 million. His guarantee.
So nothing is guaranteed to him now. It's just a $5 million game check base salary.
Okay, so he's in a tougher situation than Terry, who's gonna get something, and Parsons, right? Those guys are guaranteed.
Yeah,
to get paid. So if he stands out, if he has a reason to do it, you got to look out for yourself in life sometimes too.
Yeah,
and you see the running backs; they're starting to get paid, and he deserves the money. He deserves.
So I have a lot of empathy for him, right? Like it's super easy for fans to like automatically paint somebody as a bad guy when they just want to raise, right? It's no different than how we operate. So within our professional lives, it just sucks because we've had this conversation a couple of times, like me and some of the colleagues, friends, and if Buffalo wasn't in the current
and he's better than Williams,
position,
he had a better year than him, and he got $33 million.
Yeah. So I'd say with Kieran Williams, so they both have basically identical statistics. Cook is a tad more explosive because he was able to mimic exactly what Kieran Williams did last year on way less snaps. So it's definitely up for debate. I don't think many Bills fans would be upset with this contract that Kieran Williams received, even if we end up sort of scratching his back a little bit and we give him some better numbers.
And the guarantee is 23, right? It's not like he's getting the full $33 million. So that's an important number to look at too. Yeah,
exactly, man. Like, so I'm not so much concerned with the value of the contract or the average of the salary, because really all that matters is just fully guaranteed cash. That's it.
You guys have a show coming up. This is my last point. I wanted your opinion. I'm going to ask this in the super chat to get all yours. But out of all the AFC's teams, which franchise do you think has had the worst players?
Out of all of the AFC East teams, and we're talking historically?
Historically, look at everything.
Historically, worst players based off of
every gender, your opinion.
I'd probably say the Jets.
The Jets. So you think the Jets have had?
I'd probably say historically, I'd say they probably have the least manpower.
All right, that's going to be interesting in my super chat on your next show. Your opinion on the Jets. It's a good show.
You're going to be causing problems with me and Richie, aren't you, man?
It's not a problem. It's your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they had a good quarterback. They had one good quarterback. Joe Namath was good, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
But that's so long ago.
Yeah, he sold his soul for a Super Bowl victory. What do you know?
I said the same thing to them. I said the same thing. He sold out. It's just like the Lions back in the days with, and then their quarterback said they won't win for 50. Bobby Lane said they won't
Yeah.
win. And look, they
It was the curse of Bobby Lane, man. Listen, it's those
look, it's
curses.
been over 60,
And so I have
70.
no idea what the Buffalo Bills curse is, but something's been plaguing us for a while. My friend, I appreciate you calling in.
I'll see you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, speaking of curses, man, what the hell has been haunting the Buffalo Bills, for the love of God? Don't feel bad for him. He is not worth top 3 running back money like he is demanding. Trade him, Oliver, in a second round for Micah Parsons. I'm not particularly sure that like he truly wants like top 3 money. Say that we were to see a deal like this, then I think most Bills fans would be happy with it. Like that's around $11 million per year, which some might make an argument that it is a tad more of an overpay, but of course it's how it is. Spin has come in saying Williams is ranked higher than Cook in the top 100. So should we give Cook less than what Williams got? I probably wouldn't look too much into the NFL top 100, especially since that was voted on by the players at a particular time, but let's see. DTN, Dan Wynn is in the building on the Garage Beer Hotline. Folks, the Garage Beer Hotline is wide open if you're feeling some type of way. What up, dude?
Nothing much, Dan. I'm just exhausted today because I actually went to my very first Patriots training camp, and I actually got a chance to meet Colby in
You
person.
did?
Yep.
Nice. Dude, sick. I saw the pictures of Colby earlier this morning. Was this today or was it yesterday?
This was actually today.
Interesting. So I wonder where Colby is right now. Was he planning on going back home? Because he has to host a bunch of roundtable shows right in about a half hour. So I hope he's staying there somewhere.
I chatted with Colby like last week. He said that he's staying tonight and then tomorrow because he is going to be reporting on that joint practice with the Washington Commanders. So
that's awesome, dude. That is awesome, man. And how are the Patriots looking, bro? How was Drake May looking? What were some big standouts from an AFC East rival? I gotta know.
I know that we have a couple of young wide receivers stepping up. I know my least favorite player, Javon Baker. He at least had some production. Jalen Polk production. Unfortunately, our cornerback room has been pummeled with injuries. It was reported that 6th rounder back in 2024, Marcellus Dial just suffered a torn ACL. So yeah, the cornerback room has been looking thin for us because with Gonzalez with a hamstring injury, Davis still recovering from that. I don't know what injury it is, and I would not risk having like cornerbacks 3 and 4 playing at 1 and 2. So
yeah, dude, trust me. So as far as any fan base that can relate with injuries, it's the Buffalo Bills, man. We have an extensive list, and we're all just holding our breath and hoping that we can stay somewhat reasonably healthy at least before week 1. Like that would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. I mainly came on just so I could talk about the running back contract situation because ever since I've heard about the James Cook situation, which you talked about today and yesterday, I just feel like I still remember back in 2023 where there was like a huge issue where running backs are getting like underpaid, like because you got like the wide receivers, you got quarterbacks, you got cornerbacks. Heck, you even have edge rushers getting like a crap ton of money, and then you got running backs feeling underappreciated. But ever since McCaffrey got that contract extension, he looked great, but then he unfortunately I wouldn't say fell off, but he regressed. Barkley, I will not be surprised if he slightly regressed, but that's because Eagles have a good offensive line. Same with the Ravens. With James Cook, though, I don't like the mindset of holding out and expecting to get like what Saquon Barkley or what Derrick Henry is doing because, first of all, it's going to hurt your stock. Second of all, teams, by the time it's like 2026, when we're trying to look at the final, when there's like a running back needy team needing like a running back, when they look at James
Mhm.
Cook and he goes to another team, I bet you his production is going to dip, either
Yeah.
because the offensive line that he might be part of might be a shit compared to like the Buffalo Bills, because the Buffalo Bills O-line would been a lot better than the other team if James Cook went to another team. So
Mhm. It's interesting, right? Because like when you compare the statistics between Kieran Williams and James Cook, like you could say, oh, like he deserves less than Kieran Williams because he's not asked to do as much as Kieran Williams. But then on the opposite end of the coin, somebody could say, oh, look at James Cook and look at how explosive he is. Imagine what his numbers would be if, for example, he was out there for 85% of the snaps. It's a giant game of speculation, right? It's a giant game of speculation. It's not valuable, but I think right now what James Cook was hoping for is that like he wanted to see where the market currently stood, because with the exception of Saquon like getting a record-breaking contract for the running back position just a few months ago, there really wasn't a prime example of where the market really was, because last running backs to get paid have been the elite running backs, like McCaffrey and Saquon. That's it. Now there's precedent established, and that's with Kieran. So I think this was kind of a rude awakening, and I think he has since shifted his expectations to a deal exactly like this, which me personally, I'm fine with. I could care less if he did get 15 million, because again, I'm not concerned about running back contracts, and they're not going to break a bank or anything along those
exactly.
lines. But this right here, I feel like, is the perfect mesh that can unite the Bills fans that are currently separated right in this very polarizing topic.
Exactly. I'm a little scared for 2026 because since you mentioned McCaffrey and Barkley, I wonder how this will affect Detroit and Atlanta, considering that they both drafted a running back in the first round back in 2023, because Gibbs has been popping off. I know that, and then Bijan has been doing pretty well for the Falcons. I wonder how the running back market would look like, and considering that the Bills still have Ray Davis, I think considering that he was a rookie last year, I think that he can get that production. Like he could step up as a second year running back, and then you also have Ty Johnson. You also have Frank Gore Jr. So like if you give
Yeah.
Frank Gore, because if James Cook were to sit out the entire season, you at least have depth at running back. It's not like the end of the world, but it
Yeah.
would be nice to have James Cook, considering that he is like your true offensive player next to like what you have at your wide receiver core and tight ends.
It's interesting, man. It's interesting. I think that with this news being dropped, that we are going to get a deal for James Cook. But we'll see. DTN, I appreciate you calling in, man. You're the man.
Thank you so much, Dan. It's always chatting with you, even from
Always.
even from a AFC East rival. It's always nice chatting ball, regardless if it's Patriots or Bills or whatnot.
For sure, man. For sure. Listen, I welcome everybody in on the call-in segment. Shout out to my boy DTN for showing a little bit of love. And shout out to Jacob Spears for Do You Trust Ray Davis Kick Field Goals? A $2 donation. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. It's fun. And so I have seen him kick field goals as far as those clips from the red-blue scrimmage. That's interesting. I'm not sure if that's serious, if like he's an actual option. If Tyler Bass's injury is as serious as some people are alluding to, I think we'll probably end up hitting the market to find somebody else. I think it would be borderline irresponsible. And so to give Ray Davis the nod of actually being the full-time kicker, I think that I think that would not be the best, but I am fine with him being an emergency kicker if we need one. So that is something to think about. Beth, fresh off a move, back on the hotline. What's up, Beth?
Hey, Dan. Hi, everybody. How you guys doing today?
Man, I am doing great. How was your move?
Well, we are still unpacking. We are still nesting. It's going to take a while because of course, before all of this went into play, our school does summer camps for the teachers to make extra money, and it's an extra grand a week. So I signed up for like 4 summer camps, not realizing we were going to be moving. So I'm
As you should.
moving.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I'm making the extra money. Don't get me wrong. It's great. Love the extra money, but it's kind of made everything take a little bit longer nesting in the new place. So next
Yeah.
week I have off. The week after that I have off. That's when I'm really going to break through and get through all of the boxes and get everything hung and all that fun jazz. But, making money is definitely a good thing.
For sure. A number one priority. What is
Absolutely.
going through your mind? A lot of big storylines have dropped since you've unplugged for the past couple of days. What's up?
Yeah, there have been a lot of big ones. I mean, looking at the whole James Cook thing, I know this has been the big topic. This was actually the highlight of your stream right now is, what's going on with James Cook? What do we have to be worried about? Here is my honest prerogative. I honestly think, and maybe this is partially James Cook wanting to sit out, for his own contract needs and everything else. I'm almost wondering if he was asked to hold in so that he is bubble wrapped so we have him for the beginning of the year. Look at the injuries that we have had so far in the beginning of training camp and through this far. We've had a lot of major injuries to a lot of our major players. If Cook is seeing that, his agent is seeing that, and our staff, our coaches are seeing that, they might be saying, you know what? Because this is a contract year, we are in a contract holdout with you right now. Why don't we have you sit? We don't want to risk you getting hurt because we want you for game 1. We want you for game 2. Yes, we have Davis. Yes, we have Johnson. I absolutely love the depth that we have. And we haven't even talked about Darrington Evans and what he can bring. So I'm wondering if maybe this might be a ploy from both ends where they're both kind of in agreement. Yeah, maybe you should sit out because this is what's best for the team, not just for Cook, for the whole team. I'm kind of thinking outside of the box here, but it's really feeling that way.
So it's a great perspective, right? Because we heard something from Diana Rossini, earlier this morning, where she said it sounds like Buffalo and James Cook are a hell of a lot closer than what we could already assume. And it's no question that we have an injury report of well over 20 plus players. I almost thought that maybe he looked around and he said, hey, you know what? I am not under contract in 2026. Why would I want to risk getting a major injury? But now you add an interesting spin to it. It could be a little conspiracy theory right within Buffalo because we are all confident that James Cook knows this system. He's running behind the exact same offensive line as last year. These reps aren't nearly as important for him than they are for some other new additions on this team. So I do like what you're putting down.
I really honestly look at it from that perspective, that this really might be an agreement between the Cook organization and the Bills. Let's step back. You know this. You got this. And I mean, really, when we look at the grand scheme of things with Cook, too, he knows he's not a 3-down back. I know he wants to be. I get that. But his size, his speed, he's not a 3-down back. He's not good at blocking. Davis can block. Ty Johnson can block. Darrington Evans even can block. But James Cook is the slimy guy who sneaks between the cracks that are what is in the defense on the other side. He's not a blocker. If you're going to be a 3-down back and you're going to get 3-down back money, you need to be able to block. And he is not that guy. He has come on record saying he's not that guy. So this is where I think the contract talks, yes, we probably are way closer with what James wants than what everybody is kind of speculating. But he knows he's not that person. And we have guys that will step in to make that happen. So I honestly think him sitting out right now, holding in, I'm not nervous. He's going to hit the field as soon as our games start playing. He wants to be on the Bills. He has made no want to trade. He wants to be here. So if he wants to be here, it can't be that bad in the conversation with his agent and with our management team because he still wants to be here. He doesn't say he wants to go anywhere else. He's not requesting a trade like all these other guys are. He wants to be here. So to me, that puts it to bed. We're good with James Cook.
Yeah, for sure. And plus, really outside of that Instagram story where he pinned that comment, $15 million, we haven't heard that that's exactly what he's looking for. For
No,
all
but
we
he's got to
know,
set the bar somewhere.
yeah, exactly. For all we know, like he was just having fun on Instagram and he was just trolling. I think
Right.
that he's self-aware. Like he knows that
Yes.
he's not Saquon Barkley. He knows that he's not Christian McCaffrey. He's probably realistically looking for the number that we are looking at right now from Kyron Williams that just ended up
Right.
getting locked down. And I think that this would be a happy medium that most Bills fans should be okay with. If this
I
is the
really do
context.
agree. I do
Yeah,
agree. And then as far as like, your wide receivers and that, Cook is a passing running back. He can catch passes out of the backfield. So can Davis, so can Ty Johnson. We have got so many I say wide receivers in quotations. I know you can't see me, but even our tight ends are wide
yeah,
receivers.
yeah.
Our whole offense is wide. Even the big guys can catch passes. I mean, I'm just so excited for our offense this year and our D and our depth. And this is what we needed to make the run we want to have. We need the depth.
I
We
agree.
finally have it. We have it. And
I
Marv just
agree.
turned 100. We better get him a Super Bowl. I'm just saying.
Have to, So the stars are aligning for a Super Bowl banner to be hung in the brand new stadium next year. Let's just finally get over the hump for the love of God. Like Hollywood is
Agreed.
salivating already, like thinking of the
They've
movie
already
this year.
salivated. We've already got the movie. We've already got Hard Knocks. They've already salivated. They know what's
Yeah,
going to happen. Now we just have to do it.
it is perfect. Beth, I sincerely appreciate you calling in. As always, best of luck on unpacking, unboxing, and we'll see you next time.
You got it. Have a great one, guys.
See you, Beth. Shout out to Beth. Beth, we missed you. We missed you, Beth. We're so glad you're back. Shout out, man. And then how about Spears? Bills talk, man. What's up, Spears? How's life?
Hi Dan, how are
What's
you doing?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I am doing great. I'm sitting here waiting for Hard Knocks to air in a couple of hours and sitting here talking Bills with 448 of my closest friends. So living the dream.
I I went to my second ever training camp last couple in the red and blue game.
Yeah, how was that? Was it a good time?
Yeah, I was actually 6 feet away from Josh.
Really? And so did you
Yeah.
say anything to him?
I was too speechless.
Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd probably be the same. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm, we're looking like a Super Bowl team.
I hope so, man. Like I look at this roster and I try to rewind of what my biggest wishes for this team was last year. And I feel like all off season, for the most part, we have addressed it. But in theory, we still need to see it all be executed and put into place. But I'd have to agree with you. I'm feeling pretty good about all this.
And
Let's hope we can do it.
I went with a friend that has no knowledge with football.
Okay.
He my my friend kept saying who's that, and I said Taylor Rapp, and he says he sucks, and I said no, he doesn't.
Oh, you got to educate your friend here.
And if
So
he
there's no
doesn't,
disrespect in our Buffalo Bills players in here.
and I was thinking in my head, how does he know if he didn't know who he was?
Yeah. No, dude, listen, man. You know what? Several players on this roster do not get the national recognition that they deserve, but hopefully this is the year where that all changes. And I promise your friend will become a Bills fan after watching what is about to take place in 2025.
He says he says he's a Bills fan.
Good. Perfect.
Well, I enjoy your show every day.
Good. Good, man. I sincerely appreciate you always tuning in and making this a part of your daily routine. Feel free to call in whenever you want, Jacob, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I have to get ready for vacation Bible school.
All right, man. You enjoy your vacation. I appreciate you calling in. Shout out to Jacob, man. He's always in the chat. He's always ready to talk a little Buffalo Bills, and I cannot appreciate him more. Dan must have a different meaning of a couple of hours. Look at that. All right, we have Israel coming in saying, Pay Cook, the defense had disappointed versus Mahomes in the most important games. So I think you're probably going to get your wish. Based off of the Kyron Williams contract that dropped a couple of hours ago, I think that's likely what we're going to receive. So that's going to do it. But folks, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of your favorite twice a day Buffalo Bills show on the internet, the Don Mafia Report. I ask that if you haven't already, please do me a favor and just hit that thumbs up sign, subscribe, and turn on bell notifications. We are trying to make this show the go-to place for the Bills community to gather and talk ball twice a day, Monday through Friday. I appreciate you guys. Have a good time watching Hard Knocks. I may be like posting some sort of TikTok recap of my biggest takeaways after the fact. And we'll see you a little later. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, peace.